I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
America may have had a tough few decades of presidencies, but it was not always like this. There have been a total of 45 men who have served in 46 presidents since their independence from the British Empire. Today, we're diving into some fascinating and sometimes creepy facts about all 46 U.S. presidents. From strange habits to eerie coincidences, we've got it all. Let us start all the beginning and see ourselves how we have got to this point. George Washington was the first ever president of the United States. He was the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War and is also known as the father of his country. You will be astonished to learn that Washington's dentures were made from human teeth, animal teeth, and ivory, not wood. He was also known to have a fear of being buried alive and insisted that his body not be buried for at least 3 days after his death. George Washington's vice president, John Adams, holds the distinction of being the first president ever to reside in the White House. Maybe even more incredible is the fact that he never owned slaves, despite being a mighty man. A great thinker and philosopher, John Adams was an early and lifelong abolitionist. The third U.S. President, Thomas Jefferson, on the other hand, owned a staggering 600 slaves during his lifetime. This was the same man who wrote the Declaration of Independence, which funnily stated that all men are created equal. And nutty coincidence is that John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on July 1826, the same day as their 50-year Declaration of Independence anniversary. James Madison was the shortest president at 5 feet and 4 inches. He was president during the War of 1812 when the British forces captured Washington and burned the White House and the Capitol. It would be the last time the major U.S. city was ever captured by enemy forces. James Monroe is famous for his The Monroe Doctrine, a key policy against European colonialism in the Americas. Monroe died on July 4, 1831, making him the third president to die on Independence Day. President John Quincy Adams was the first for many things. He was the first son of a U.S. president to be elected himself, the first U.S. president to be photographed, and he was also the first to be inaugurated wearing trousers instead of knee breeches, setting new fashion trends for the masses. Adams enjoyed skinny dipping in the Potomac River every morning. Andrew Jackson was the first to be elected by the Democratic Party. Jackson is best known for the Indian Removal Act of 1830. Jackson had a pet parrot that learned to curse, and it caused a scene at his funeral. Martin Van Buren's nickname, Old Kinderhook, led to the popularization of the phrase, okay. He was also the first president born in the U.S. citizens, as all previous presidents were born before the United States became independent. William Henry Harrison was an American military officer and politician who served as the 9th president of the United States. The shortest presidency in U.S. history, Harrison served only 32 days as president before dying of pneumonia. He gave the longest inaugural address in history, which lasted nearly 2 hours, in cold, wet weather without a coat or hat. The presidency of John Tyler is held with very low esteem among historians. He clashed with his conservative party wings after becoming president. The party eventually expelled him, which caused many conflicts and strained relationships during his service. The amazing fact about Tyler is Tyler had 15 children, more than any other president. His grandchildren are still alive today, a surprising fact considering he was born in 1790. James K. Polk was a boring president. I mean, to the point he banned liquor from the White House and started working 12-hour shifts. Polk worked so hard that he rarely took time off and died just 3 months after leaving office. He was also known for accomplishing all his major goals during his presidency, including expanding U.S. territory through the Oregon Treaty and the Mexican-American War. Zachary Taylor was a general and national hero. He served in the U.S. military for 40 years before becoming president. Taylor died suddenly after only 16 months in office, leading some to believe he was poisoned. However, an exhumation in 1991 found no evidence of poisoning, suggesting he died of natural causes, possibly acute gastroenteritis. He was the 12th president of the United States. Millard Fillmore, the 13th president, demonstrated that through some competence, even an uninspiring man could make the Americans' dreams true. A false legend claims Fillmore installed the first bathtub in the White House. He did, however, install the first library and modern kitchen. Franklin Pierce. At the age of 12, orchestrated a daring escape from boarding school. However, his father forced him to walk right back in the middle of a thunderstorm. According to Franklin, this was his turning point in life. Did you know Pierce's 3 children all died young and he struggled with alcoholism? His presidency is often rated poorly due to his pro-Southern policies and inability to prevent the country from heading toward civil war. A bachelor for life. James Buchanan, the 15th U.S. president who never married. His close relationship with William Rufus King, vice president under Franklin Pierce, has led some historians to speculate about Buchanan's sexuality. Abraham's enduring legacy is primarily rooted in his monumental efforts to abolish slavery. Unfortunately, Lincoln's presidency was short when he became the first president to be assassinated. Lincoln had a dream about his assassination shortly before it happened. In 1867, Congress passed an act that prohibited the president from removing appointed officials. Despite the act, Johnson removed his Secretary of War. The following year, because of this, his House representative voted to impeach him, making him the first president ever to be impeached. The most amazing fact about Johnson that very few people knew is that he was a tailor before becoming president and used to make his suits. Ulysses S Grant's most notable achievement was his determined efforts to suppress the Ku Klux Klan in 1871. However, despite being a war hero, Grant had a phobia of blood. He also struggled with alcoholism, which was widely known even during his military career. Rutherford B Hayes was the first president to use a telephone. His phone number was 1. He also ended Reconstruction and withdrew federal troops from the South, effectively ending the protection of African American rights there. James A. Garfield was the second U.S. president who was assassinated while preparing to board the train in Washington, D.C. He was shot twice by a guard keeper. His injuries proved to be fatal, but it was not a gunshot that made him die. Rather, it was the medical treatment he received, which was inadequate and unhygienic. His death led to significant changes in U.S. medical practice and civil service reform. Chester A. Arthur was known for his keen fashion sense. He took great care in his appearance and was often praised for his huge collection of suits. He had a personal valet and owned more than 100 pairs of pants. Arthur was also known for staying up late at night and enjoying lavish parties. Grover Cleveland was the only president to leave the White House and return for a second term 4 years later. Grover Cleveland, or Big Steve, was overweight and weighed 275 pounds. He was heavily addicted to smoking cigar and drinking beer. He also had a secret surgery on a yacht to remove a cancerous tumor from his mouth. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on part 2.